All right, hello guys. All right, so we all know that one of the fastest evolving platform in freelancing platform in the world is actually Fiverr because they are very quick to make changes to anything and then they make a lot of updates. So that is why it's very important as a freelancer, especially on Fiverr, to always be up to date on whatever changes or whatever system has been put in place so that you can easily maneuver your way or not necessarily maneuver your way, know your way around how to like get orders and get results. So that is the reason why I am always up to date in terms of joining whatever webinar is being held so that I can make videos like this or record videos like this or possibly to better myself. Well, actually, I joined this webinar so I can actually record this video because I feel like we can benefit from it. I don't think they provide a recap of it. So in order not to make that loss, that's why I made this video. So I hope you actually get value from it. So if you do, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and then turn on notification bells. And when other videos are being made like this or are being posted, you can easily and quickly get notified about them. So happy viewing and then happy learning. Bless you.
Please do not worry, you will get it. And I think that now, without further ado, Bram, the stage is yours.
Thanks. I'll just repeat what I've mentioned at the beginning because maybe people didn't hear or weren't present. We have over 1,500 sellers joining this webinar, and I know that originally we planned to do this in a Q&A session, but we understood from the number of registrants that we won't be able to handle a Q&A in a manner that will address the questions that are rising. That's why in the past 2 days, Doron, Yarden, and myself went over social, went over CS tickets and emails that CSMs received and curated a list of most asked questions, which will be addressed at the Q&A session. So apologies for that, but it is important for us to share. And if you have questions that we won't answer, you can open a ticket with support. And in case you are managed, you can ask your CSM and we'll be more than happy to share. So before Mikey will start with the presentation of the product, I wanted to share some things or the framework that can help in understanding why we implemented this change. But and we understand that changes sometimes seem intimidating, and this is exactly the reason why we've taken this approach of hosting webinars to allow you to understand the rationale that stands behind the level system. But on a side note, or maybe not a side note, maybe it's the main point. We want to emphasize that we strongly believe in the level system and we stand behind this change, a change that we've implemented first and foremost for our sellers. It is important making sure that we reflect feedback that we receive from sellers internally. So the seller's voice and the community of sellers' voice will be heard in preparation for this release. Some sellers know exactly what I'm talking about. We did discovery calls with sellers and we gathered feedback that helped shape the level system that we released last week. I know that in the Fiverr context, and from my experience working closely with freelancers, changes that we apply on Fiverr usually are being interpreted by sellers as if we're doing it for the benefit of our buyers. And I want to state that this is far from being true, specifically on the level system that is designed to help you increase the trust that you build with your buyers, which is an essential part of your business growth and success on Fiverr. Some of you may ask why we implemented this change only now. So here Mikey will explain more in depth, but leaning on machine learning, the new model is putting a spotlight on connections between factors and metrics. And given the amount of information we have, which is not always exposed outwards, It allows us to identify sellers who provide a good customer experience through the analysis of those connections between factors. So we've introduced this robust change in the level system to create a more reliable marketplace that presents sellers for who they are and allow our great sellers to stand out. A system that eventually allows sellers to truly understand where they stand. We'll deep dive into specific questions later, but for now, I'll hand it over to Mikey, product manager, to review the product. So Mikey, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Ron. So hello, everyone. I cannot believe that I'm talking to 1.5K sellers. It is really exciting for me. So I do want to talk to you a little bit about like why we did this change and a little bit behind the scene of it. So before we are looking on the page itself, and I'll walk you through it. So let's start with why we did this change. So we have a lot of data, and Fiverr exists for a long time to identify what successful order is. And we saw in the last few months that the data that you know or you see today, which is the levels and the ratings, it's not accurately with what we know internally, the performance that we see. And we see that this like gap is holding you back from progress in Fiverr and to give better service. So we wanted to bridge this gap, and this project, this was its main goal. So we did three main things. First, we are reflecting the new success score, which is connected to the new level system. And I'll talk about the success score in just a few moments from now. Then second is creating this new level page where you can see the metrics that are relevant for the levels and a lot more. And third thing is to connect the benefits, features, plans that we have here on Fiverr to the relevant level that you are and the status that you are at. So, for example, if the question of like, when will I get Seller Plus, when I will be able to join there, then now you know either why you're there or when you will be able to join there. So these was the main three things that we did. Now let's talk a little bit about the metric itself. So the overall score takes into consideration the score of each gig, where we give more weight into gigs that has more orders and more activity. And when trying to understand how we can calculate this score, we had four main things that we took into consideration. So first, we understand that successful order is not that simple. It's not determined by just, let's say, if the rating was good or if it wasn't late. There's a lot of things that took into account when I understand if order is good or not. So we wanted to took like a little bit more holistic view. Ran mentioned it before, and to understand the connection between the things that make a successful order. Now, second thing is we understand that you all are not the same. You give different services and you provide different things. So this score is relative to sellers that are more like you. Third thing is that we understood that not all buyers are the same. There are buyers that are more demanding, and there are buyers that are new to Fiverr and doesn't know how the system works. And each of them behave differently, and we took all this into consideration. And then fourth thing, we are taking in historical data, but first, it's not all lifetime. And second, we are giving more weights to specific orders. For example, we give more weight to recent order than like very old orders, for example. Now, the model takes all these areas into consideration, but it also focuses you. Each of you will have different metrics to highlight or to focus on, and in your page, where I'll show you in a bit, you'll see the specific things that are mostly affecting your score personally, either for positive or to negative. So I guess that now we can take a look on how it looks in reality. I'll go for a second to the product. So this is my dummy account. So let's assume that this is me. And I am, for example, level 2 seller, and I see that I have some things that I need to achieve in order to get to the next level. So I see that I have some check marks that I need to get. I can look here on what needs to achieve. What needs to achieve in order to be top rated. I can see the thresholds for each of the metrics, and I can also see here that except from these metrics, I will need to be evaluated. If I will click here, I can learn more about what can I do in order to achieve this. But I won't get into it. I just want you to know that it's there. And now here I can see my metrics, all 6 that are affecting if I can move up, and I can see what I'm still in progress and didn't achieve the needed number. And clicking on each metric will open a window with more details, more explanation about where you are, and specifically about how it's calculated. So let's look on the success score where we talked about a few minutes ago. So here you can read a little bit what I said in a summary, but you can also learn more here. Open the help center, take more information from there. And if I'll scroll down, I can see my scores per gigs, and clicking on each gig will open me the areas that are mostly affecting my score per gig. Now here I can see that I have a negative effect on effective communication. So if I would want to know a bit more about it, I can click here on this button, get to this educational article. It has a lot of information about the success score, and can learn about the key areas. I can go to the specific area that I see that I have problem with, which is the effective communication, and read more about it, try to understand what are the tips to improve this key area, what can I do, and generally try to think with myself, what are the things that can make my communication more effective to help buyers understand better, let's say, what I'm selling, or there's a lot of factors here. So I won't read this, but you are welcome to read more a little about this score or about the specific areas that you have, if at all. Let's go back. Then scrolling down, I can also see the benefits that I'm getting. I mentioned before that this is something that we did, connected benefits, features, plans to the specific level that I'm at. So here I can see all the benefits that I'm getting as a level 2 seller. As I can see, for example, that I can have promoted gigs or sell plus premium, for example. And I can also see what I'll get once I'll be top rated. So this is also nice, understand what I can look for when or if I'll get to top rated. Going back up, I want to show you this button that explains a bit more about how the system works. So in order to move up, you'll need this 6 metrics and the thresholds for achieving the next level. And as I mentioned before, also for top rated, there is an additional evaluation. But once you achieved all this, the next day you'll get the level that you're supposed to have. And now for moving down, if one of your metrics will be below the thresholds, you'll have 30 days to improve it. You won't be automatically demoted for the previous level, but you will have the time to improve it. Now, with that, I want to say that the system built to be pretty stable, and it is. You don't need to be anxious about it, that it will change a lot. And even if you see any change, we will also let you know from like different sources, email and pin flashes. So don't worry about that. I guess that's all from my view. And I will hand it over to Ron or Yarden to answer your, I guess, a lot of questions I see here. And thank you all for listening and for coming here. That's it. Thanks.
Thanks. Thanks. Maybe before the questions, I will add an important thing that was raised by many sellers about why they're seeing negative factors even if their score is really good. It is important to understand that we wanted to allow you, as Mikey explained, to know how to pin down issues that might be problematic. If you have a very good score, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is a problematic area. It just means that it's more problematic than other areas that are working already really, really good. So don't be stressed over it. It's just helping you. The level system, as mentioned, is designed to help you understand where you can maybe place more emphasis on and work to achieve a better buyer satisfaction. And now we can move to questions.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for joining. So as I mentioned before, we've gathered some of your leading questions and we would love to answer them. Sorry. We see a lot of questions whether or not revisions, delivery extension, partial refund are being taken against sellers. Doron, do you want to clear it up?
Sure, I can do that. Hi, everyone. So all the tools that you have, revisions, partial refund, delivery extensions, these are all tools to make your buyers satisfied with the final result. Using these revisions and extensions will not result in any direct negative impact on your score in itself. Instead, as we mentioned, we have a more holistic view. The success score considers several different metrics that contribute to the overall smooth buyer experience that you provide to your buyers. This includes things like how long it takes you to deliver the final product, how that is done compared to other sellers in your niche. So rest assured, revisions and extensions, when they are done to provide a better communication and a better buyer experience, are great. If they can be prevented with better communication, then obviously you should do that. We encourage you to provide whatever it is that you need for a better buyer experience.
Thank you. Another great question that we saw a lot is what is the time frame of evaluation for the success score?
Okay. So the old level system was leaning on 60 days. And I'm sure that most of you sometimes encountered an issue that didn't necessarily represented your quality. And nonetheless, you suffered from maybe demotion from your level, and we understood that it's not the best experience for users. The success score and the new level system is taking your evaluation in a wider perspective, and it leans on your performance in wider time spans to avoid those situations where a specific coincidental metric does not reflect the quality that you provide to your buyers. It designed to give sellers more room to maneuver, make mistakes, and learn from them on the go without immediately being negatively affected by it. It is important to note that the new model is evaluating you not only compared to yourselves, but also compared to your competition, other sellers that are like you. And it also weighs differently in orders regarding the scope of the project. So for that question, we take a wider time span, and it's designed to help you and your performance on Fiverr.
Thank you very much. Doron, what is the TRS demotion process?
Okay, we got that question a lot. So we know that TRS freelancers that have their account flagged for demotion are stressed. So we're happy to clear that up. Even though your success score or your account is right now showing a banner that says you are at risk of being demoted, rest assured that the demotion process, just like the promotion process, is a manual one. That means that if your score is or at any point falls below the needed success score to maintain it, our evaluation team will look into your account and say, is the seller still something that we believe should be top rated? And only if they consider all the factors that they did while they promoted you and decide you are no longer supposed to be TRS, that is when you'll be demoted, not automatically and not without evaluation.
Amazing. Thank you.
And maybe we can add here that part of the reason why we released this new level system is to make sure that it's parallel to the quality of sellers. We wanted to make sure that TRS sellers receive the badge for their quality. We understand that being flagged for demotion isn't the best experience. And as Doron mentioned, all of those sellers are going to be manually reviewed before we take a decision. So rest assured that we're looking into it, we're checking your quality, and we won't take any decision that may affect your profile and account before getting into the bits and bytes of whether or not this is the right step to take.
Thank you. Sellers are now asking, should they expect a change in their gig location in listing with the new level system?
Yeah, so here it's important to know that, and we've received that question even before the release of the level system. A lot of the sellers thought that TRS is being promoted in listings to the favor of TRS sellers. So it's important for us to share that the level itself doesn't have any effect on the gig location in listing. However, gigs exposure and location in listings may change based on the gig performance in the marketplace. And that includes, among other things, buyer satisfaction, responsiveness, cancellation rate, on-time delivery, and performance. And also now it is compared to other gigs in the same subcategory. So in short, the answer is the level itself doesn't affect the listing.
Thank you. Will the overall success score be affected if a seller pause or delete underperforming gigs?
I'll take that. Okay, so the answer is yes. Your success score is only evaluated by your active gigs. So we do recommend pausing gigs that are underperforming and have low traffic, which could have some sort of negative effect on your revenue flow. However, keep in mind that gigs that have fewer orders also have lesser impact on your success score. And there could also be some sort of, there could be a conflict between your success score and your business interest. For example, if your best selling gig has a slightly lower success score, it would probably not be a good idea to pause it. So take all these things into consideration when you are taking any action on your gigs.
Yeah, and here maybe we can add something from our experience as CSMs and business advisors to sellers. We always advise to take a wider perspective on your business. It's not only about whether or not it's a good thing to uplift my success score. You need to ask yourselves if it's a good thing for your business, if it's a good thing for your revenue flows, if it's a good thing that buyers will see those gigs when they go into my profile. So a lot of questions come in when you ask yourself whether or not to pause a gig. Same goes to other questions And we always recommend taking, just like the level system that is taking a holistic view on orders, we recommend taking a holistic view on your business before taking an action. Yeah.
Thank you. We saw a lot of questions about accounts that were flagged. Do you want to elaborate about it a little bit?
Sure. So we flag accounts for violations of our terms of service and also for suspicious and fraudulent activity. With the new level system, this action is visible to sellers, unlike previous times when not all the time it was visible for you. And those actions and those sellers will not be eligible for promotion and benefits through the level system. It's important to note. The reason why is because Fiverr is putting a lot of emphasis about trust, and it's important for us to make a safe environment both for sellers and buyers to use the marketplace. It also supports the idea that we support fair competition. So to make sure that sellers that are not playing a fair game, we're flagging their account, and we'll make sure that they are not eligible to move up the ladder via the level system. If you believe that your account was falsely flagged, which may happen, please reach out to our support team, and our trust and safety team will investigate into the matter and have a final decision. Here, maybe it's also a good idea to share. Maybe this question came because of that issue. We understood that some accounts, limited number, but some accounts were wrongly flagged with the release of the change of the new level system. We deeply sorry for it, and we're working on fixing this issue. Okay.
Thank you. Guys, can you please explain a little bit about the value for money key area? We had a lot of questions about it.
Yeah, so I'll take it if that's okay. So VFM is not something new. We introduced for those sellers who also purchase services on the marketplace. You probably noticed that when an order finished, we asked the buyer to rate the service according to the value for money. It is true that now it's being presented to sellers as well. And that is after a vast research that showed to us internally that the VFM score that is given to sellers by their buyers is a strong indicator for the quality of the seller. If we flag the VFM as a positive key area, it can be an indication that either you do something really good, or maybe that you're pricing yourself a bit low. And again, here I go back to what I've mentioned when you take a decision. Taking a decision of raising the prices should not be a decision that is taken only because the VFM score of your gig is really high. Taking prices up is something that we recommend doing very carefully and very cautiously. For managed sellers, we recommend always sharing it with your success manager and advise if this is the good move for you or not. If the key area is flagged for negative reasons, we recommend thinking of treating your buyers with extra care and show them the value for what they pay. Maybe they didn't know what you did when you worked on the design of the logo. They don't necessarily understand how the processes work. Or maybe they didn't realize that you were thinking 24 hours how to approach an issue in a project. Maybe taking option A or option B. If you ask them for feedback, if you share those processes with them, it just shows them how valuable your work is. We heard feedback about the value for money with relations to the rating system, and we hear the feedback. Although our data is clearly showing that there's no correlation to the price of the order when it comes to VFM, and this is still a stable predictor in all parameters, we hear you, and we're thinking of how to address this moving forward.
Amazing. Thank you. We saw some sellers claiming that the current system doesn't actually guide them on what action should they take in order to improve.
I'll take that. Okay, so the new level system, we keep saying, it's to add transparency and it's to benefit sellers. So like Mikey said, the new success score basically includes different components of the buyer experience, and each key area can guide you as a seller to understand what part of your buyer's journey that you provide needs some attention. This is something that we did not have before, that exposure to understand in what part of my communication with a buyer I should improve. And not only that, but unlike the previous level system, in the new system, there's a separate success score with flagged key area to each gig. That allows you to understand what issues you might have, or what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses in each one of your services. You have so many resources that you can use and really work on these factors, and they truly provide you with a lot more guidance than we had before.
True. Thank you. We see a lot of sellers claiming that cancellation that was ordered that were canceled by support and shouldn't affect the seller account are still affecting them. Do you want to address it, please?
Yeah, sure. So regarding cancellations, we do realize that there was an issue with cancellations that were already removed from sellers' completion rate. Just like, this is an ongoing, and we are now in the month of adjustment. So we are working very hard to fix it, and we hope it will be resolved soon. So these cancellations are no longer counted in the new levels.
Thank you. As you all know, freelancers like to travel, and we have a lot of travelers here that are worried from location inconsistency. Can we please clear it up for them?
Yeah, sure. So, guys, we know that a lot of our freelancer members are digital nomads. We know that sometimes they like to travel, and sometimes they need to work while traveling. We have ways to recognize location inconsistencies that indicate suspicious activities and that do not fall under these definitions of traveling or working while you're having fun. In case that we are not sure about location inconsistencies as a suspicious behavior, we will cross-reference it with other behaviors and will take the necessary action accordingly. And again, in case you think that we flagged you for location inconsistencies by mistake, please open a ticket with support. We'll investigate into the issue more closely.
Thank you. Doron, will a success score fall if someone is not getting any orders?
So as we mentioned, the success score takes into consideration a wider period of time, but also gives more weight to recent orders, allowing you to improve. And of course, like we said, bigger projects. So having no traffic might affect the score in a way that your former orders actually get more weight. If those orders in the past had positive sentiments with buyers, they could positively affect your success score, and if not, the other way around. And another thing to remember is that your performance is no longer just your own, it is compared to the marketplace. So sellers may see fluctuation in their success score even if they had no new orders, okay? If you have any more questions about that, I really recommend reading through the Help Center articles that we have and the resources. But keep in mind, again, a wider time, but also a lot of room for improvement.
Thank you. And the last question for this evening or morning for people across the globe. Sellers are asking, when we completed the orders in the previous month or years, we did that based on the metrics at that time. After several years, if new metrics are being introduced, why is Fiverr using them on historical data?
Okay, so it's not the last question, but I'll answer and then we'll continue. So as Mikey and I explained at the beginning of the webinar, the new model is taking a new approach to the analysis of a good buyer experience, where the spotlight is given to the connections between different metrics and factors. But those metrics and factors were always part of how Fiverr was looking at sellers and their performance on the marketplace. It's a different thing to look at a factor in and of itself and looking at it and how it behaves with other factors. The second option is a smarter way because we're analyzing the sentiment. So back to the revision question, for example, if revisions can be interpreted as a negative factor when it stands in and of itself, here we will analyze how the revision, for example, is being connected to other events on an order before we take a decision whether or not it was overall a good experience for the buyer. So I hope it helped understanding the level system. And the reason why I said that it wasn't the last question is because now I have a question for you, sellers. And be honest, my policy is being brutally honest, so please be honest with us. On a rate of between 1 to 5, when 1 is the least valuable and 5 is most valuable, I want to hear from you if this session was valuable for you. If you understood more about the level system, if you understood more how to read the success score, and if you understood more about why we released that change. So if you can share in chat between 1 to 5 a score of how valuable that was, that would be great. Thank you.
Amazing.
So to close and sum up what we've mentioned here, again, the new level system is now working on connections between factors and metrics that weigh into the experience that sellers provide to their sellers. The success score is allowing you, unlike previously, to break down the customer experience or the buyer satisfaction into areas of interest. And if we flag an area of interest, we isolate an issue that you can work on. If communication is being flagged, maybe me as a seller, I need to ask myself whether or not I provide good experience when I talk to my buyers. Maybe I need to update them more. Maybe I need to ask more questions. Maybe I need to set more expectations and so on. So the success score is designed to help you understand how to break pillars in the customer experience that will help you eventually grow. And like I've mentioned at the beginning, raise the trust that buyers have with your services and your projects. So thank you very much for joining, guys. We appreciate the time that you took. Again, if you have questions, please raise it with support for managed sellers. you're more than welcome to share it with us, and we'll address them accordingly. I hope everyone have a good rest of their day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.